Okay, we can begin. We're holding Pirkei Avot, Pirkei, Mishnah Vav. As we have seen from the very beginning of Pirkei Avot, there's a lot of good advice that was not only relevant back then, it is relevant throughout all of history. In every generation, ideas that the Chachamim shared with us from their personal experience. And many times, of course, these ideas are extremely helpful. I mean, they're always, of course, helpful, but some ideas are extremely helpful because they give us so much clarity in some areas of life that are very complex. And throughout the words of Chazal, not only in Pirkei Avot but elsewhere, if one learns them properly, he's able to gain tremendous insights in life. What the purpose of life is, how to handle himself in all kinds of difficult situations. Because even though one may learn the Torah, one may be familiar with what he can do, what he cannot do, mitzvot and averot and so forth, it is not so simple. Sometimes we need guidance in areas that are not black and white, as they call it in English, gray areas. They need further clarification. There are issues in life that are difficult to deal with. Not everyone handles them properly usually because of a lack of guidance, lack of seeing things in the right way. If people would see the situation that they face properly in the eyes of the Torah, they would deal with it very, very differently. So, some of the Mishnayot that we will see today deal with some of these difficult, complex issues and really help us out. They help us out to understand what life is all about, what we should consider important, what we should not consider important, what we should emphasize and what we should not emphasize. This is something that people grow up, whether they're learning or not, they may not necessarily be aware of them. Or even if they know about them, they don't necessarily practice what they preach. They don't necessarily put them to work. Some of these ideas are so helpful that if one were to focus on them, I believe his life would be much better. He would be much better off. Mishnah Vav, Rabbi Yanai omer, en biyadenu lo mishalvat haresha'im ve'af lo miysurei hatzadikim. Loosely translated, Rabbi Yanai says, listen, we are not capable of fully comprehending why the wicked have it easy, why they have tranquility, and why the tzaddikim have yisurim, why they suffer. Well, you immediately know what he's talking about. He's talking about the famous question of Madua tzaddik v'ralo rasha v'tov lo. He's addressing this question of why is it that wicked people who are doing all the wrong things are having an easy life, and all the righteous people who are hopefully doing the right things are having it difficult. It's not supposed to be like that. But wait a minute, whoever told you life was fair? But there should be fairness. Hashem is fair, isn't he? Yes, he's very fair. But remember that we don't have the ability, he says, to understand these things. We don't have the tools to know why Hashem does certain things. It's not that we can just call him up, oh Hashem, why is this guy having it so easy and this guy is having it so difficult? It's not that you can just call up and ask. And sometimes it doesn't make sense. It's not logical. So Rabbi Yanai first makes a statement, En beyadenu. It is not possible for us to fully comprehend Hashem's ways. Even Moshe Rabbeinu had this question. Moshe Rabbeinu asked HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hodi'eni nai derachecha. Please share with me, let me know how you operate in this world. Derachecha, your ways. I want to know what, the rules by which you run this world. After all, there are certain things that don't make any sense, at least to us. And what was Moshe Rabbeinu talking about this? Why are there righteous people who are suffering? They're righteous, we know they are. And Wicked people who are having it easy. Is it supposed to be like that? Is there a reason for that? And later on, the Gemara explains further that Moshe Rabbeinu's question became even more of a difficult question. He says, I can understand if you want to tell me that Reshaim have it good and Tzaddikim have it bad for some reason. There is a reason for it. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I have seen Reshaim who have it easy and Reshaim who have it difficult. And I have seen Tzaddikim that have it easy and Tzaddikim that have it difficult. So it's not like it's something is wrong here, like Reshaim are having it completely different than what I would assume they should have it. I have seen within each group contradictions. You follow me? So the question is even a more difficult question if we have to make sense from it. So what does Hashem tell Moshe Rabbeinu when he asks him this question? You will see my back, you will not see my front. And that's a very enigmatic answer. We don't fully understand what that means, even though there's various interpretations. But one interpretation is that as a direct answer to his question of Moshe, Hashem tells him, listen, as human beings, in flesh and blood, it is possible for you to look back in time, not to look into the future. In other words, after 25 years have elapsed, you may only then be able to figure out why something happened. Because now you're able to look at a big, long picture, many frames over 25 years. Oh, nice, see why this had to be like this had to work out like that had to be this way. You may be able to look back and figure certain things out after seeing 25 years of a person's life. Upanai, but the face, looking ahead, looking at the front, that you can't see. That you can't understand. That we do not understand what Hashem's plans are into the future. Hashem has a whole plan because we're looking ahead. Ahead, there's no information. Backwards, yes, we have all this information. We have all this life, 25 years or more of it, that we can sometimes make some sense of it. And that's what Hashem tells Moshe. Moshe, listen, in this world, in this physical world, that's the only ability you may be able to have. And even that's not complete. But you, if anything, you can look back, but not forwards. So what Rabbi Yanai basically is telling us is that the human being does not have the mental faculties, the abilities to see deeply, to see beneath the surface. Just a little bit on the surface, but beneath it, you cannot see it. It is very possible that what appears to us as a righteous man, he's not so righteous. Maybe there's something that he does that is terrible, even though he appears to us as righteous. In many other areas, fine, but Hashem knows everything about the individual. So, En Beyadenu also means that we don't see the whole picture. We don't see the whole individual. We don't see the whole human being. Hashem knows that perhaps this individual has something that is not so righteous about him. And the other way around, we see a Rasha, we see all his wicked ways, or we see that he doesn't perform, he doesn't observe. But you know what? It could be that this Rasha performed one mitzvah of a heroic nature. He saved someone's life years ago. And just because of that, Hashem is keeping him alive, giving him a good life, just for that one mitzvah, for that one good deed, which was an incredible deed, a heroic deed. Also, you could also say that Rabbi Yanai is pointing to the following. You're saying that this is shalva, that this is tranquility, what the Rasha has. Who ever told you that? Just because he has money does not mean that he has a good life. Go over to his home and see what kind of a life he has. Perhaps he's very upset, bitter, depressed. So seeing the money does not mean that he's happy. So shalvat hareshaim, who's to say that that is a true shalva, true tranquility? And as far as the tzaddik suffering, maybe he's actually very content with what he has. just because he doesn't have, and he's struggling, but he's very happy. He's Baruch Hashem. Everybody's healthy. Everybody's doing well. He has good kids, a good marriage. So we don't even have the ability to measure what is tranquility and what is a lack of tranquility or a difficult life. Perhaps this man is not so happy after all, the one that has all the money, the Rasha. And the Tzaddik is happy. So, is that a problem? No, on the contrary, that's good. The Tzaddik is happy. Yeah. So we don't have the kelim to measure tranquility or lack of tranquility. However, the main reason why this is so, we nonetheless want to know a little bit of what the Kabbalah has to say. What do the rabbis tell us? Nevertheless, what could be possibly the reason why a tzaddik is having a difficult life and the Rasha is having a difficult life? The answer is in the Kabbalah. The Kabbalah, and actually it's not only the Kabbalah, it's also in Chazal. Chazal tells us there's two ideas here. Idea number one, which is quite emphasized in Chazal, in the rabbi's words, is that sometimes Hashem pays the Rasha for the few mitzvot that he performed in this world, so that he should punish him in Olam Haba. So he wants to pay him off. Now, for the little bit that he did, if it's only a little bit, let me pay him off now. It's only a little bit. Whereas with the tzaddik, he only did a little bit of something wrong, a little bit of Avot perhaps. Let him pay for it now, so that he should have the complete Olam Haba. Clean. He should get up there clean. So sometimes, depending on the amount or the quality of the mitzvot, Hashem sometimes figures, you know what, you're better off paying for it now. Suffering a little bit, having some difficulties for a number of years in your life, but you leave this world clean. You arrive there, you don't have a bill to pay. You don't have any debts. They're erased. Whereas the Rasha, Hashem pays him off completely, great, the best life possible for the few good deeds that he did, so that he shouldn't get anything in the Olam Haba. So that is a possibility of why certain things happen the way they do. That Hashem is paying this one off, and here he's making him atone for the sins. But the Kabbalah's explanation is very important. And I hold that is perhaps one of the main explanations of why certain things happen. We spoke about it when we discussed Mazalot. A major factor in why people's lives are the way they are, whether it's a difficult or easy, has to do with Gilgul, has to do with reincarnation. It always is related to a previous life, to one's deeds in the previous life. So we see him as a tzaddik, but do we know how he was in the previous life? Now he's choosing the right things. Now he's living his life properly. But do we know what he did wrong in the previous life? We don't know. In Biyadenu, Rabbi said, we have no way of knowing. Yes, of course not. Because we don't, how are we going to know who he was in his previous life and what he did? All we know is that there's a chance that what he's going through is related to a previous lifetime. And the fact that he's having it good, perhaps that too, is related to a previous lifetime. But he's no good now. So what? Hashem says, you know what? I'm going to make you being born in a good mazal. Because after all, the mazal is what manages all of this. It's a package. You're going to have a good mazal. And that mazal has to do with the previous lifetime that you were good, or you did certain things right, and you're only coming back to finish something, and you don't need to suffer. So you're going to be born in a good mazal. And that good mazal, by the way, could be also a test. To test him how he's going to use his money. It's not just a reward. It's a whole cheshbon. In other words, Hashem has a whole mechanism which, by way of the Gilgul and the Mazal, a person leads his new life in a certain way. In other words, he works at a certain place, he has a certain family with certain friends. It's a whole package which offers him opportunities to repair perhaps something that he did wrong, or to complete that which he left incomplete, to fix something that needs fixing. It's a whole complex package of all kinds of things that need to take place. And Hashem therefore gives this individual the tools to complete, to fulfill, to accomplish his mission. And part of those tools may be money. One of those tools could be a difficult wife too. We don't know. It's all part of the mazal and part of the package that many times is related to a previous gilgul. Now, sometimes part of the cheshbon, part of the package, or part of the mazal, it also involves zchut avot, involves the merits of the parents or the grandparents. Sometimes a father or a grandfather was a big, big tzaddik, or they may have done some outstanding deed for which the reward lasts for many generations to come. The Rothschild family is one example. They were blessed for many generations. That is an indication of a bracha. That's not mazal. Nobody has such a mazal. Where the father, the son, the grandson, 4 or 5 generations. Why? You hit the lottery that every single generation is going to have a good mazal? It doesn't work like that. On the contrary, you have people who are wealthy and the kids are poor. You know, and the money was eaten by the lawyers or taken away by thieves or all kinds of ways. It was lost. How come? Because there's no beracha. So you can't expect that his money will go over to the son unless there's beracha. Unless Hashem wants it to be like that. Because for the father and the son to have a similar mazal, usually it doesn't work like that. It could be that one of the kids has a better mazal than the other, if it's a whole family. Yeah, that's something else. But that everyone should have a great mazal, it's unheard of. But if there's zchut avot, there could be beracha. The merits of the previous generation sometimes last for several generations. And we've seen it. Rabbi Yanai is also perhaps talking about the shalva of the reshaim of the Goyim in this world. We see the Goyim are ruling, they're in control, they are succeeding in certain areas, and Am Yisrael has unfortunately had to suffer persecution, exile, being kicked out, not having equal rights for many, many years and generations. So that is, in a sense, shalvat ha-reshaim yisurei tzadikim, but that's part of the galut. So we don't know, of course, Hashem's cheshbonot of why here there was, unfortunately, a pogrom, and Jews got killed, why this community had difficulties, why there's war in this country and the Jews suffered, why they were kicked out of Austria or out of England, as it happened in history too. Why did it happen over there? Right? Why did the storm, the hurricane, hit the East Coast? Right? Why was there an earthquake in that particular country? There's all kinds of cheshbonot of Hashem that we don't know, even though sometimes, unfortunately, the innocent, what we perceive as innocent, the righteous, get hurt as a result. So this could also be relating to that. It's all the same. Rabbi Yanai says we don't have the ability to fully comprehend Hashem's ways. It's impossible. We do have information in the Torah that's very important to remember. We have in the Tochacha, in Parshat Bechukotai, Parshat Kitavo, Nitzavim Vayelech, Ha'azinu. I mean, we do have information that explains why holocausts occur. Nobody should make that mistake. It does say why certain things happen, but that's in general to the nation as a whole, and sometimes to individuals too. But that does not mean that we know exactly the details, the reasons. We know there's a reason. It just because there's no such a thing as a random. Everything is be'ashgacha, through divine providence. Hashem is involved in every detail of our lives, but to actually know the reasons for everything, that's not possible. Next, Rabbi Matya ben Harash Omer, הווה מקדים בשלום כל אדם, והווה זנב לריות ואל תהי ראש לשאולים. Rabbi Matya advises us actually, before we go to Rabbi Matya ben Harash, there is an example in Chazal that compares Olam Hazeh to Laila and Olam Haba to daylight. This world is Choshech, darkness. We don't see with clarity, we don't see the Emet, and the Reshaim are the ones who are in control. This is the world of Esav, whereas Olam Haba belongs to Yaakov. And that is why the Jewish people count the day beginning with the night. Because it begins with the night and it ends with the day. And the night belongs to the Goy, and the day belongs to the Jew. Right? So there's a lot of mishalim in Chazal that compare the time frame of when Am Yisrael will be on top and when the Goyim are on top. It's also interesting that this Mishnah comes right after the last Mishnah where we finished up saying V'binatcha al tishain. Remember that? We finished up that Rabbi Horai told us, don't rely on your own understanding. Well, that fits very well with Rabbi Yanai saying, because we don't have the ability to understand why certain things are a certain way. All right. Rabbi Matya ben Harash Omer, it is a very good thing to get used to greet everyone we see. And he says, Makdim, be the first one to greet. Don't wait for him to greet you, but you be the first one to greet him. Why? Rabbi Matya says, Heve Makdim. Go ahead and get used to this kind of a behavior, of a habit of when you see people, greet them. Say hello. Hi, how you doing? Good morning. Shalom kol adam, even Goyim, non-Jews. What for? Is it nice? It's just a nice thing? No. Obviously, Rabbi Matya is telling us that this is a good thing to get used to. It leads to humbleness. Even though he doesn't say it, he doesn't say so that that's the reason. He just means it's a good thing to do. Believe it or not, this particular act is very powerful. It does something to the individual. First of all, you should know it takes courage. Some people are shy by nature. Some people are afraid of saying something to the other person. What if the guy won't look at them and won't say anything in return, answer back? The guy may feel bad, might be insulted even. If we take it the wrong way, it could be a very sensitive, delicate situation. Perhaps just let's avoid contact, no communication. He says, no. A lack of communication between people who see each other, especially if they're somewhat familiar with each other, is not good. It leads to sinat chinam. You don't greet someone, it means you're ignoring him. It means that you don't see him. It means that perhaps he has no value in your eyes. He's a human being. Greet him and show him that you hold him in high esteem. In other words, he has the image of God on him. He's a human being. What for? Well, first of all, do you know that people like it? Some people love, if you greet them, that means you think of them. You paid attention to them. You consider them. You care about them. And what does it do to the person who's shy? It makes him hopefully a little bit less shy. It leads to humbleness because you're doing it to kol adam, and you're doing it because you are makdim. You're actually initiating it, and to initiate means that you feel it's important. You're giving importance to everyone. You don't hold highly of yourself, meaning that you're not waiting for them to say first and then you go next. No, you're doing it first. So, even though it is not mentioned here, this midah is a very powerful midah. It's not just being nice. Remember, Rabbi Matya ben Harash is not just telling us this is a good thing to get used to, it's a nice midah. No, it's an actual very powerful thing to do because it brings people together, it shows you care, it gets you to initiate and to perhaps reinforce your confidence in yourself. And of course it leads to humbleness in accepting people. This is acceptance. This leads to acceptance of others. So it's a very, very significant midah. And it says kol adam, everyone. Goyim too, because of the cheshire, you want to be in good terms with them too. So there's a lot of benefits from this. There's a story, an incredible story. I think it happened in a slaughterhouse. if I recall correctly, in South America, I think it was. In this particular slaughterhouse, there was a shomer, a guard, a non-Jewish guard, who used to open up and lock up the place. And one day, he was there overtime. So somebody came over to him, why don't you lock up? It's time to go home. He says, there's still somebody in there. Somebody still in there? He says, yes. I'm telling you, there's still somebody in there. He says, I'm the last one. I'm telling you, I just came out. You can close up the place. You can go home. I'm telling you, there's still somebody in there. Are you sure? He says, yeah. Let's go check. So they check. They don't see anyone. And then the guy decided to open up the door of the freezer. And sure enough, there was a guy stuck in the freezer. And had they not gone back to check, he would have died in the freezer. So Baruch Hashem, the guy was so appreciative. Thank you for opening the door. And the guy asks the Goy, what made you think that there's still somebody there? He says, you see this guy? Every day when he comes and leaves, he always greets me. He says, hello, good morning, good night. And tonight, he never said good night to me. He always never misses. So I knew he's still there. So that good night, good morning saved the guy's life. But it's not just that. The Goy obviously appreciated this. It meant a lot to him, especially if he's the only one. He says sometimes, all the time, people know these things, they notice these things. Somebody really says it, he always, says hi, he greets me. It can make a difference. And then Rabbi Matya adds, you're better off being the tail of lions, and not the head of a gang of fox. What does it mean to be the tail of lions and not to be the head or the leader of the fox? Well, a lion has tremendous courage. He's a powerful animal. He's the king of the animals. I guess there's some respect attributed to a lion. And a fox, what kind of a reputation does a fox have? He's foxy, they say. He's sly. So be the tail of lions and don't be the head of foxes. Well, how does that apply to humanity? In life we have friends. In life we have associates that we deal with, that we hang around with, that we befriend, that we do business with, right? That we learn with, right? In life, you're never by yourself. You have choices with which group you want to be. So he says, you're better off being with lions. Lions meaning people who are strong-minded, God-fearing, in the sense that's what he means. Leaders, they demand, of course, respect. These are people who do things the proper way. Their emunah is strong. They're arayot, strong like lions. Even though your position amongst them may be as a tail, you may not be considered by them that much, but you're with them. You're around them, around lions. There will be a lot more benefit from that association than being the president, the leader of people who are foxy, of people who are sly, of people who are tricky, who are not courageous, who are not strong in their way of doing things, was in emunah and so forth. You don't want to deal with these kind of guys. Politicians, you can call them, right? What are you going to learn? Not too many good things. The real benefit is to be around people who are strong, who are good, solid, like lions. Not foxy, crooked. Even though you're going to be the rosh, you're going to be the head. No. The benefit is where you can You need to be the tail, but you're the tail of lions. That's where there is benefit. Much more than being a head, the leader of the shualim. So what if you're the leader? Where are you going to derive the most benefit? Being around solid people. Lions, meaning here solid, strong. And you could see this a little bit during the Inquisition. During the Inquisition, you have various Jews who reacted differently. Some could not take the pressure, they converted. Some, of course, gave their life for what they believed in. And those who were prepared to give their life for what they believed in, even though they were simple people, they were not rabbis. They were the tail, but they were the tail of lions. They were the tail of a strong emunah. They were the tail of families that were so devoted to Judaism. So even though they were the tail, but look at where they came from and what they were capable of demonstrating. Whereas other guys who may have been big, learned philosophers, smart people, but their emunah was not so strong. They were leaders, they were important. Yeah, but they were shu'alim. They were trying to outfox, I think they say in English, the system. Yeah, I'll wear a cross during the day, I'll put on tefillin in the basement during the morning, I'll try to have the cake and eat it too, finding all kinds of ways to trick the system, to make believe. That's fooling around, as they say. That's fox. That's a fox. Nah. They did not succeed. Eventually they disappeared from the scene. Or they would eventually caught and put to death. So look at the difference. Look at where the benefit is gotten. Even though you are the tail, but you're amongst the right people, you will benefit a lot more than being around people who don't do things straight. This is also not easy. People like to be ahead. People like to be on top. This also requires courage. Oh, I'm going to be the janitor? Yeah, but you're going to be amongst, you know where you're going to be. The best people, the greatest tzaddikim and chachamim. Wouldn't you want that honor to serve them rather than to be the rosh of a gang of fox? So this also requires humbleness and courage to be able to be that tail. But he says that's what the benefit will be. And there's an interesting midrash that says that Paro had a daughter. What was her name? Hagar, the one who married Avraham Avinu. Hagar is going to be a maid? The daughter of Paro? Yes, Paro says, I would rather her be a maid at the house of Avraham than to be a princess in the house of somebody else. It pays for her to be a shifcha. But where is she going to be a shifcha? In the house of Avraham Avinu. Okay, next Mishnah, very, very important Mishnah. Perhaps one of the most famous Mishnayot, if one could say so, of the entire Pirkei Avot. Everybody has heard of this one, and it's quite significant. Rabbi Yaakov Omer, העולם הזה דומה לפרוזדור בפני העולם הבא. This world is compared to a hallway before Olam Haba. There's Olam Haba. There is a world to come, right? We believe in a world to come. This one, compared to that one, it's like a little narrow, short hallway. That's all it is. What do we need it for? What this world is for is to prepare ourselves. What do you do in the hallway? You look in the mirror, you straighten out your tie, you make sure you look clean, good. Hatken atzmecha beprosdor, straighten yourself, clean yourself, prepare yourself in this hallway. Kedei shetikanes latraklin, so you can later on enter the palace. So this world is in preparation of the world to come. Why do we need a preparation? The rabbis tell us, Misha tarach be'erev Shabbat, yavo v'yochal be'Shabbat. In order to enjoy your Shabbat, you have to prepare for Shabbat. Olam haba is Shabbat. You want to have a good meal, chamin, right? Good fish, enjoyable meal. You got to work for it. You got to prepare Friday. You got to set it up. It doesn't just going to come. It's not just going to land on you. So the Rabbi Yaakov is reminding us that Olam Haba, which we all are looking forward to, is earned. And to earn it requires work and preparation. And that work and preparation happens in Olam Hazeh, in the prosdor, in the hallway. It doesn't come for free. So the purpose of Olam Hazeh, if you ever wonder what it's for, it's purely preparation. It's not a time to just play around and enjoy yourself. You're not here just by accident. This is a place of preparation. On a more Kabbalistic level, what we do in this world, what kind of preparation do we do? We prepare our clothes. Yeah, Kabbalistically there is a concept called spiritual clothing. That when the neshama heads upstairs, it has pants, it has a shirt, it has a cloak. And they are the mitzvot that one performed in this world. And if he's missing one, he feels bad. That he's barefoot or that he's missing some sort of garment to his spiritual body. So for all the mitzvot we do here, we prepare our spiritual clothing for Olam Haba. Again, everything is in preparation for the ultimate tachlit, for the ultimate purpose. And that is Olam Haba. Because we're talking about clothing, because clothing is what we are dealing with, spiritual clothing, Kohelet tells us, Shlomo Melech tells us, B'chol et yu begadecha levanim. Make sure that your clothes at all time are clean, are spotless. What is he talking about? He's not talking about the laundry. He's talking about our spiritual clothing. It means the mitzvot. It means the averot. Chaz v'shalom, if you made a mistake, make sure you clean it. Remove the stain. Send it to Michael. Right? Make sure it's clean. Make sure that when you head upstairs, when you leave this world, everything is corrected, everything is fixed. You don't want to have any revav, any stain. Otherwise, it doesn't look good. The rabbis tell us, what is Gehenom? The shame that a person experiences up there when he sees, ugh, how can I enter? How can I join everyone if I'm dirty? That dirt is, of course, from the Avot. So, b'chol et yu begadecha levanim, Kohelet reminds us, make sure at all times you're clean. Just in case you have to leave now. We don't know when we leave. So if you got dirty, clean it up. So all of this is in preparation for Olam Haba. People, unfortunately, of course, don't realize this. They think this is what there is. This is the world. That's it. Enjoy yourself, get the best furniture, biggest house possible, drive the latest car. There's a very cute but very, I think, important story that is related from the Chafetz Chaim. There was once an American tourist that came to visit him. He went searching for his home. Somebody said, that little home over there, this is the home of the biggest rabbi of the generation, this little hut. All right, he knocks on the door, nobody answers, so he walks in. And sees that there's barely any furniture in the house. The Rabbanit, the wife, the Chafetz Chaim says, please sit down. The Chafetz Chaim is going to come in a moment. He sits down on one of the chairs that he was able to find. And sure enough, the Chafetz Chaim walks in. Nice to meet you. Where are you from? From America. And before they're able to have a major conversation, the tourist is eager to ask the rabbi, the Chafetz Chaim, Rabbi, I can't understand something. I came all the way to see you and I'm very happy, but Rabbi, I just don't understand. Where's all your furniture? So the Chafetz Chaim turns to him and says, I don't understand. Where's all your furniture? Rabbi, my furniture? In America. I'm a tourist. I'm visiting here. So the Chafetz Chaim says, so am I. I'm also a tourist. I'm also visiting in this world. He didn't think of that for a moment, but that's the reality. That is the truth. We're all visiting here. We're all tourists. Some stick around for 50 years, 60 years, 70, 80, 90, 100. It doesn't make a difference. Another couple of years. Tourists, right? That's it. So does it pay to get bring all our furniture here to make this our permanent place of a home? I've seen people building 50,000 square foot homes. 50,000. You know what 50,000 is? You have an idea what it 12 bathrooms, tennis courts, bowling alley, a theater, everything you can imagine. What for? And many of them get divorced after, it's still being built. They have to split it in half, they have to sell it. It's incredible. How long are you going to stay there? Even if you're still alive, people move around. They put so much effort, kohot, energy, into these things that are so trivial. They don't matter. You don't take it with you. This is not it. You don't stick around for so long. So why do it? Why put so much time and effort and money into something that will not last? Because they don't remember that this is a prosdor. Simple. If they knew that this is a prosdor, they will of course allow themselves a little bit. I mean, you're allowed to say, you can have a normal home, a decent home. You don't have to have no furniture. Yeah, of course. But the focus should be, I'm not going to overdo it. After all, how long do we stay here? My father once told me that when we moved into our house in Israel, we were living there for a number of years. So there were movers bringing up furniture. So there were two movers who were bringing up a sofa, a new sofa. So my father tells him, be careful as you're going up the stairs that you don't scratch it, it's new. So he tells my father, what do you think, you're gonna take it with you? He says, don't worry about it, And he was right. I mean, he was wrong and he was right. He was wrong because you still got to be careful, it's new. But you can see not so much the humor. I mean, obviously he was humorous, but you can see the Jewishness or the Jewish way of thinking in him. That he was trained like that. He may have been even a little bit religious too. That, we don't make a big deal about these things. Not from where we come from the old country, and he was from the old country, from Europe. Yeah. This is not something that it should aggravate you too much. And he's right. So Rabbi Yaakov tells us a very important idea here. Don't overemphasize this world. This is just a prosdor. Remember that this is not the ikar. The ikar, the main thing, is olam haba. And because this is not the ikar, if a person is suffering, if a person is having a difficult time, it helps to remember that this is not permanent. Can you see now how this is an important Mishnah, following what we learned earlier, that we don't know why people have it difficult and some people have it easy? It's okay. If that's the situation, but we know that this is not permanent, then we're not going to make such a big deal out of it. In other words, we're going to be able to handle it better. This is just a prosdor anyway. Am I going to make a big deal of, okay, so he's having an easier life and he's having a harder time, but this is not the ikar anyway. This is just a prosdor. Right? And how do we know logically that this is not the ikar? How do we know logically that this is not the most important part of life? In other words, that this world is only a temporary world? Because it doesn't make sense. How does it make sense? You have a guy who's struggling, going through many years of college, saving some money, finally getting married, finally building his house, having kids, and by the time he's 55 and 58, 60, and he's a Baruch Hashem, finally settled, Hashem takes him. Does that make sense? He's worked so hard. He's finally built himself up. He's finally gotten to the point where he wants to relax a little bit. He's worked so hard. And that's when Hashem takes him. This comes to show you, in a logical way, that this is not it. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. Can you imagine somebody building a building 100 stories high? Oh, you know how much work went into that? And finally, they come to the day where they cut the ribbon. Wow, Baruch Hashem. Now, go ahead and use all the office space. And before anybody can go in to use the office space, the guy decides after cutting the ribbon, I'm tearing it down. I'm putting a bomb and destroying the whole thing. Does that make any sense? Who would want to do that? You put so much work into it. Nobody would do that, right? No, because when you build something, you make it last. You want it to last. But how come Hashem doesn't do that? Hashem works differently. He built something up and then he takes him. You know why? Because this is not permanent. There is permanent. There is where we had it. Otherwise, would he allow that to happen? Let the guy enjoy his children and grandchildren. Let him see the nahat. Let him be able to dance for many years to come. Enjoy his life. This is not ikar. If this would be the ikar, why can't we stay for 969 years like Metushelach? I'll settle for half of it. Why not? Because this is not the ikar. That's why. We're not here for that. That is why he says, Atkin, atzmecha b'prosdor. What you're here for is to do tikkunim. This is olam asiyah, as the Kabbalah calls it. The world of actions. Here we perform, we do things, we do mitzvot, masim tovim. Hatkin. We fix, we prepare ourselves. And because of that, we have to be careful not to waste our time, obviously. Otherwise, chaval. Hu haya omer. Next Mishnah. This is the same Rabbi Yaakov who told us about the importance of using our time properly, remembering that this is not the ikar, and what we need to do is atkin. Hu haya omer. He used to say, Yafa sha'a achat b'tshuva u'ma'asim tovim ba'olam hazeh mikol hayei olam haba. 1 hour of tshuva and good deeds in this world is more important. I shouldn't say the word more important because he uses the word yafa. Yafa means it's nicer. It is better in a sense than all of the world to come. Wow. The 1 hour here is more important than the entire world to come. But then he says, but wait a minute. ויפה שעה אחת של קורת רוח בעולם הבא מכל חיי העולם הזה. But 1 hour of korat ruach in that world is more important or better than all of this world. So first of all, we have to explain what's the difference here. It appears contradictory. 1 hour here is more important than there. 1 hour there is more important than here. It depends what we're talking about. Over there, realize that when he says 1 hour of there, he says sha'ahat shel korat ruach. What's korat ruach? Korat ruach is a spiritual form of enjoyment. It's not ta'anug or onig, which is pleasure, that physical pleasure, rest, enjoyment, and so forth. Korat ruach is a certain peace of mind. A certain peace of mind that comes about only in Olam Haba. People who have had a near-death experience have testified that when they left their bodies, they were in a car accident, they saw their body lying on the floor. They saw paramedics trying to work and saving their lives. And they're up above their bodies. What are you wasting your time? I'm very happy here. Leave me alone. All of a sudden, they have no troubles, no issues. They feel free. Nothing is bothering them. They feel so good. And it gets better, by the way. But that's even initially. They feel a relief. That's called korat ruach. I'm trying to, as best as possible, to explain a certain sense of relief. So 1 hour of relief, of relaxation, of pleasure, of spiritual pleasure in Olam Haba is better than all this world, than all the billions of dollars and all the enjoyments that you can ever imagine to have. Right? One moment there is better than this whole world. On the other hand, 1 hour here of tshuva and maasim tovim is better or more significant than the entire olam haba. What's the difference? Well, when we're talking about 1 hour of tshuva and maasim here, he's obviously he's emphasizing the fact that tshuva and maasim tovim cannot be done there, can only be done here. Or as Kohelet says, Kol asher bechochacha, Kol asher timsa bechochacha, la'asot aseh. Let me see if I wrote it down here, the actual pasuk. Kol asher timsa biyadecha la'asot bechochacha aseh. Whatever you can do in this world while you're still alive, whatever you can do, do it. Because when you go to the grave, over there's nothing that you can do to accomplish. Accomplishment is only in this world. So whatever you can do, do here. Because later on you can't do it anymore. So 1 hour of tshuva and maasim tovim in this world is more significant in a sense, or is more worth it in a sense, than the entire olam haba, because over there you can't do it. They say about the Gaon of Vilna that right before he passed away, he began to cry. And the students asked him, Rabbi, why are you crying? Baruch Hashem, your life was full of Torah mitzvot. He says, look at my tzitzit. He says, you see this tzitzit? I only paid a few dollars for it. And it's such a big mitzvah. Over there, I can't do it anymore. In this world, for a few dollars, you can do great mitzvot. You can fulfill mitzvot for a few dollars. And as soon as you leave, you can't do them anymore. You can't, no matter how much money, you can't. This is the time to do it. So I'm leaving a world where I can still do mitzvot every hour. And as far as the Korat Ruach upstairs, yeah, the Korat Ruach, the spiritual, we have no idea what it's like. That's what he says. The enjoyment is so tremendous. He says you can't compare it to anything you can imagine. He says 1 hour there, then the entire world. In other words, imagine living 1,000 years and getting all the pleasures you could ever imagine getting. Everything you ever dreamt of. It would still not even come close to 1 hour in Olam Haba. Now, this helps us understand why Hashem does not give us the spiritual reward. In other words, the reward for our mitzvot in this world. Even if He gave it to us, it would not... In 1,000 years, we would not be able to absorb all of it here. Not only is this a temporary reward, the spiritual reward is so immense. We would not be able, for one mitzvah alone, it would not be sufficient 1,000 years. The spiritual reward is so much greater that it cannot be given in this world. It's not only is it not compatible with this spiritual, we would never be able to outlive it. In other words, it's so great, even 1,000 years would not be sufficient. So Hashem gives us the sachar, for the most part, in Olam Haba, not in this world. Rabbi Yaakov is reminding us, and using the term of sha'ah hat, that these moments, these hours are very important. Don't waste the time. Every hour counts. Everybody has a certain amount of hours that he's going to be spending here. Don't waste them. Every hour is significant. But what people do not realize is that even if somebody is comatose, and he's a vegetable, and he's full of pipes, where they are connected him to a breathing machine, I think it's called. And the doctors are saying, yeah, let him go. He's in pain, poor fellow. First of all, the doctors don't know what they're talking about. He's not necessarily in pain. Second of all, what people fail to realize is that every minute that a person is in this world, even if it's a little painful or not comfortable, it's kaparat avonot. There was a father that came in a dream to his son and told him, why did you disconnect me? Every extra moment that I was here going through that, they removed from my Gehenna up there. People don't know this. Every hour counts. Even if it's an hour of Yisurim, it helps. But it's not only the Yisurim that helps. When people have an extra hour, you know what you can do with 1 hour, especially if you're healthy? You can do tshuva. As the rabbis tell us, Yesh koneh olamo b'sha'ah achat. You can acquire your world in 1 hour. Person did everything wrong in his life, and he regrets it. He has 1 hour to live. In that 1 hour, he can do teshuvah. Obviously, the fact that he didn't accomplish means that he may have to come back. Okay, but we're not going to deal with that. But regret, remorse, sincerely feeling bad about everything is significant. It definitely makes a difference than not doing it at all, not being remorseful. And in 1 hour, a person can be remorseful and therefore acquire his share to the world to come, even if he was the worst in the world. Can you imagine? Even though he did all the Averot. One moment he did, but real teshuvah, real teshuvah, where Hashem knows that his heart is completely broken, that he realized the emet, and in that 1 hour, he has acquired his chelik olam haba. Yes, he's going to have to go through tikkunim, of course. He has to go through tikkunim, but teshuvah versus not teshuvah is a big difference upstairs. But when a person that was able to at least do teshuvah, even though he was wrong, it definitely is handled differently than if a person did no teshuvah and he's headed to the court. It's a different kind of an outcome. Very, very different. That is why 1 moment, 1 hour of teshuvah, of proper use, of good use, can make a world of a difference. That is the meaning of Yafa Sha'ah Hat. B'tshuva u'ma'asim tovim. It's not only good deeds of tshuva, that tshuva can make a world of a difference. So with these people who are in the hospital, people who are sick, we make them say the vidui if we think they're on their way out. Vidui, saying the vidui, the confession before they leave, is important. If they can't say it, we say it for them. Shema Yisrael and everything else. Whatever they can do, if they are still able to communicate, the next day they may be gone. That moment, if you caught him and somehow he was able to do something of some significance, some mitzvah, some word, some charata, believe me, it's going to make a big difference for him in Olam Haba. So to finish up this Mishnah, let's remind ourselves with what Kohelet says. Kohelet, what he does in his book Kohelet, Shlomo Melech, is reviews life. And he makes fun about a lot of things that happen that disappoint people. And in reality, he says, why be disappointed? Why be upset? Akol hevel avalim. He begins his book. It's all vanities anyway. Materialism. Why get upset about all these things? Most of these things that people get upset at are not worth being upset at. If people only knew what mazal is, what gilgul is, if they understood a little bit of what we just learned, they wouldn't get so upset. But after all, he says, the bottom line is, it's all hevel anyway. This doesn't matter so much, this olam. You're departing, you're leaving it. You're not taking it with you. What does matter? And that he leaves towards the end is, of course, Sof davar kol nishma Elokim yirav vet mitzvotav shemor, is to be God-fearing, to observe His mitzvot. He's basically telling us what Rabbi Yaakov says, Tshuva ma'asim tovim. Even though I just told you that everything is hevel, I didn't mean that too. Everything in the physical world that is materialistic, that is perhaps a source of many of people's troubles, that's hevel. That's the way to look at it. But Tshuva ma'asim tovim matters a lot, because this is what man is all about. These are his true accomplishments. That is why you will find the rabbis telling us that when a person lives through his life, he's really confronted sometimes with two roads. Imagine somebody coming to a crossroads, doesn't know which way to go. Should I go right or go left? They both supposedly go to the same destination. And he asks a child, this is brought down by the Chachamim, he asks the child, which one should I take him? And the child tells him, listen, the road on the right is very, very smooth for the first 10 kilometers, but the last 10 kilometers are very difficult. The road over here, the first 10 kilometers are very, very hard, but the last 10 is, as they say in English, smooth sailing. Which one do you think you should take? So the Chachamim tell us the second one. For the Reshaim, they want it easy. They want it to be easy first, but it's going to be hard for you later. No, I want to enjoy life. Don't tell me about later. They want it easy first. The Chachamim realized that this is not the Ikar. Therefore, it's better to suffer a little bit. It's better to go through all the hardships now. It's better to have to contend with all the difficulties now and to have it easier later. In order to be able to choose to make that decision, we have to always keep in mind that this is only a prosdor. And why is it called a prosdor? What's a hallway? A hallway is not only a place where we prepare ourselves. A hallway usually tends to be small. It's not such a long. How long is the hallway? Before you enter the main chamber, the main room. So the rabbis are telling us, listen, don't forget, this is a prosdor after all. Not only because this is where you prepare yourself, but for another reason. It's short. You're going to go through it very quickly. Some people think they're going to actually live forever, but it's only a prosdor. Very important difference in the philosophy between Am Yisrael, therefore, and the non-Jewish world. The non-Jewish world has always subscribed to the philosophy, for the most part, is Echol hayom ki machar namut. Eat today because tomorrow we die. Enjoy it. And Am Yisrael says no. There's no such thing as machar namut. Machar we only begin to live. Machar is when life begins. So therefore, we're not just going to allow ourselves everything that the heart desires in this world, because it's going to be very expensive for us later on. Look at the difference, and that's the difference that we just read in the parasha between Esav and Yaakov. Let me eat. Let me enjoy myself. The Bechorah, what do I need it for? It doesn't do me any good. You start telling people about Olam Haba, Gan Eden, being around with the Shekhinah. It sounds that it sounds remote, because it is. I mean, how do you prove it? The human being, because he's clothed in a physical body, obviously wants what's good for his body. He doesn't think about his neshama, and that is why we learn these things, in order to remind ourselves of the reality. So even though we said that this world is hevel havalim, it does not mean that we should make fun of it. It does not mean that we should just deprive ourselves. Oh, this is worthless. It's not completely worthless. We said it's a prosdor. So Judaism does not believe in asceticism. Asceticism is like all those people who go live in a cave and meditate. And no. You get married. And you have kids. And you behave like a normal human being who eats but make berachot. Sanctify Hashem. Remember who gave it to you. Live a normal, good, healthy life. Don't hold yourself back. Just follow the Torah, of course. But use this as a medium to get to Olam Haba, as a vehicle. Don't make fun. Don't throw it away. Don't deprive yourself. And there are religions that do that too. There are those, of course, who enjoy it. There are those, let's kill the ta'ava. Let's kill the yetzer hara. Let's be all spiritual. Hashem has enough angels upstairs. You don't have to be an angel. Angels belong up there. Here we are humans. And humans need to eat, not to fast for 50 years. We were tzaddikim, of course, who fasted. But the point is, we are humans, and Hashem gave us a Torah that is fit for humans. So therefore, we don't throw away Olam Hazeh. As much as we said Hevel Avalim, we respect it because it's a prosdor to get us to the Tachlit. The reason, obviously, people make mistakes in life, and people get aggravated, and people do the wrong things, is because this world, besides being a materialistic, physical world, is also called Olam HaSheker. That's the term the rabbis give to it. Olam HaSheker, Sheker, besides being Hevel Avalim, sheker means lies. What is so false about this world? It's not that the world is false. It's a reality. It's not a dream. It is a reality. We are living in a reality. But when we say sheker, we mean that it's mat'eh. It misleads. Not that it's, well, I guess you can say some things are fake, yeah. They are. It's not what you see. It's not exactly what you see. You see a guy with a long beard, he may be a big crook. We're going to learn about that. Don't look at the kankan, ela b'ma sheyesh bo. There's a lot of things that are deceiving. Money doesn't bring happiness. They have people who've made millions of dollars, they're not happy. A lot of things are deceiving. The world, in this world, there's a lot of deceit, sheker. Advertisement. You think they're actually selling you something that is healthy? Take this product and you're going to lose 30 pounds in 2 weeks. You're going to lose a lot of your money before you lose the pounds by buying all that medication, the vitamins. Why are they doing it? I thought they're honest. I thought if they're putting an advertisement and spending millions of dollars, maybe this is real. No. The only time it has to be real is for the health department to determine that it's not unhealthy for you. That it has to go through a test. It's 100% orange juice. If they don't put that from concentrate, it's 100% orange juice with water and other things too. Right? Why do they do this? Because they want to make money. Because they want to sell. Aren't they interested in a healthy drink? No. Unfortunately, and people learn this the hard way, sometimes with time, you come to realize, especially if you're naive, tamim, why can't they be honest? Why can't they just make a product that is really good for you? Either because it's too expensive, or it doesn't exist. You know what people have told me, that if all the customers in the world were like me, doesn't pay attention to advertisement, they would be broke by now, the businesses. Because I don't care about the advertisement. But they tell me that the reason why there are advertisements is because it makes money. Otherwise they wouldn't be. People actually believe it. Especially when it's a famous movie star holding the beer. It must be good. Oh, and they put a woman on the car when they sell a car. 3/4 naked. Why do they put a woman on the car? What does she have to do with the car? Can I buy the woman with the car? Some would like to. Because it sells. This is what sells. This is what makes them look at the car. I just found out that in bars they give you free pretzels and peanuts. Why? Because you're going to get thirsty and you're going to buy some drinks after that. Wow. I just read that. I didn't know that. Wow, such a big sheker. I thought it was free because they're being nice. No. There's no free lunches, they say in English. They want you to pay for it. What do you think that is? That's called sheker. So the bottom line is, Rabbi Yaakov is reminding us, don't feel bad, al titragesh. Don't feel aggravated, don't feel disappointed, just don't feel bad about things the way they are. After all, it's only a prosdor. You get by, B'ezrat Hashem, b'shalom. Just remember to focus on the tachlit, because this is not it. This is just a prosdor. Not only is it short in time, it's also a hachana. This is just a place to get ready. This is not where we stay. And therefore, if this is a place to get ready, focus on what you need to do to get there. Don't waste time. What do I need to do? Tshuva masim tovim. Everything else is just secondary. Of course, you get married. Of course, B'ezrat Hashem, you'll work. You'll pay bills. Of course, you go for a swim and stay in shape. Of course, you'll meet people. You'll have a barbecue. Yeah, live your life. But remember, that's not the ikar. Never think of that as the ikar. The tachlit is waiting, and that can come any moment. The tachlit is Mashiach also. All this galut, all this hardship, what's going to happen? All this fear, all these worries. Mashiach is coming. That is why the rabbis wanted us to look forward, not only to pray for it, but to remember that that's the ikar. We want the world to be a good place. The way it is right now, it's not fixed, it's not settled. People, unfortunately, are lost. They're misled. They're too busy trying to figure out this world out. Don't waste your time figuring it out. It's only a prosdor. The ikar is the olam haba. And for that, we have to prepare ourselves. And of course, Hashem gives us a life and a certain amount of time to do the job. And hopefully, B'ezrat Hashem, the same way that we come here, we should live here. We came here clean, we should leave here clean. Baruch atah bevo'echa, baruch atah betzetecha. That it should be a blessing, the same way everybody was happy and thankful when we arrived as a babies. Oh, he's so cute. He looks like his mother, he looks like his father. There's shtuyot. Right? The main thing is, how did we leave this world? What are they going to say in the eulogy? Even though they say lies too. But the reality is that the good name is what's important. And in order for a person to really succeed, unless he's a good-natured person, that's something else. But in order for a person to really succeed in life, he has to be focused. He has to remember what Rabbi Yaakov says. Most people, unfortunately, are not focused. That's why it's so important to learn this, that otherwise a person is not going to maximize his time. He's going to be upset. He's going to be frustrated. He's going to be disappointed. So many things are going to happen. Why isn't it the way I like to be? Why is that guy having this thing that's so easy? Look at all those questions. Look at all those issues. They should not affect us. A Jew does not need to be affected because of all things, because he is reminded that this world is only a prosdor. It's only a hallway, that B'ezrat Hashem soon we will be able to get to the olam haba.
Amen.